trapped in the back end zone. So Glasgow started to work it up the pitch. They feel quite confident getting it out of the end zone. The swing to Campbell, finding Hopper. Great cutter for this Glasgow team. Inside throw now, and Glasgow are starting to attack the break sides. Oh, but that throw was just a little bit too low for Kirsty Webb. A little bit of disappointment in the face of Andrew Warnock.
Yeah, Warnock's a player for the Great Britain under-24 mixed teams. Very, very good player, so he'll be looking to make amends for that for the rest of the game.
So SMOG content with swinging the disc, but goes for the deep shot, looking for Higginbotham, and what a grab from Sam Higginbotham.
Yeah, it's a really good shot from Will Collier there. Spots Higginbotham with a bit of room. He's got height on his defender, put it up there and let the big guy take it down.
Well, that's the most perfect start SMOG could have had. Higginbotham, hailing from the University of Sheffield, also known as Slender. Don't actually know what the story is behind that nickname. I
mean, I would guess
mainly
physicality.
He's quite tall. He's quite
slender.
Slender, yeah.
Yeah, there was a good start for SMOG. It was a very, very nice pull, good chase, pinned Glasgow in there, waited for the mistake and really took advantage of it. Glasgow are the higher seeded team here. They're seeded 7th, while Glasgow are 10th. But there's about 2 points in the difference in the Swiss draw, so SMOG the favoured team here.
So, confusion in the call. I think Glasgow have decided to go for 4 women. One of the, I would say pickups, not quite a pickup anymore, is number 12, Susanna Slob. So she's actually from the Netherlands, playing on the under-24 mixed team. But she has been studying in Glasgow for the last half year. So she has been playing with Scrum and Glasgow Ultimate. Very nippy cutter. Not much playing experience, only been playing for about 2.5 years. So we'll like to see what kind of effect she brings in the game as she collects the first undercuts. Big aggressive force there from SMOG. Looking for the deep hook. He does have a great shot in Phil Webb. Great collection. Having to go to ground. Glasgow just needs to tidy up a little bit. Oh, a Slob with the layout catch just to keep it in. What a goal. What a start from Glasgow.
Yeah, Glasgow's O-line firing right back there. That was a really, really good hook from Sean Webb to his brother Phil. And then a really good catch in that far corner there.
Yeah, see here the replay. So Phil in corner, Susanna Slob just totally free on the open side and does really well to bring that in and keep her toes in.
Those are great reactions. She's had to throw herself for it with not very much warning. It's come out pretty quickly from Phil's hand, and it's a really good catch. And she looks like she's got a bit of a war wound.
It's one to show to the family and friends after the tournament.
Yeah.
I laid out on the stream. Check me out. Luckily, we do have paramedics already on the sideline. Unfortunately, quite a serious injury from the Italian game. Hopefully, she's doing okay. So very easy for Slob to go and grab a plaster quickly. Stop the bleeding.
SMOG here with another kind of split roster. We commentated on them yesterday. They've got a big, big group here, but some of their players are not playing in this game.
So Morrison fielding the disc. SMOG faking the deep, doesn't like it. Swinging out to Heather Williams. Bit of a zone look here from Glasgow. Oh, what a big hook coming out from Ava Grossman, looking once again for Higginbotham. Why not? What a great grab from Sam Higginbotham. We're going to see this more and more, aren't we?
They looks like it, yeah. They're looking for him, aren't they? Going deep again. He's got the mismatch in terms of height. He's matched up against Andrew Warnock from the looks of it, and Warnock is a guy who can really go up and challenge those, but Higginbotham has timed it beautifully. High points it, takes it down under a bit of pressure there. It's a really good catch. Great throw from Ava Grossman, great spot.
Also just great lack of contact, I would say. It's so very easy as well with having two Glasgow defenders to come in there and try and steal the disc, but I think Higginbotham, we see here on the replay, just really good positioning. Warnock going ever so slightly too early.
Yep, you're right, both Glasgow players doing a good job of trying to contest it, but definitely not dangerous in any way. Good frisbee so far, both of them very, very willing to just chuck it long and chase after it, making for a good game.
Here we see Lees with the pull, making me feel quite cold in his reversible. Hopefully he's a little bit warmer than we are. Ooh. Tight defensive pressure there from Glasspool. Thought he was going to go for that bid. Hopper doesn't really see anything. Oh, just catch behind the back. Collected by Webb. Pang receiving the disc. A little bit stuck on the sideline, but oh, and I think Webb just thought that there was another Glasgow player there, but SMOG completely capitalised on the quick turn to Harry Glasspool, and SMOG are just looking on fire in this game.
They are. Bit of a miscommunication between Sean and Phil there. It looked as though one Webb to another was going to be the connection, but just a bit too far in front of Phil, and in steals Alex Greer, takes the disc away. Really easy, quick point. We look here. Sean's looking infield. He's got his brother there, but he's just overthrown it a little. And Harry Glasspool running down. Nice, easy score. Quick lead for SMOG here. They are the favoured team, but I think you're right, Sarah. They're coming out with a bit more intensity and aggressiveness than Glasgow are at the moment. That's the difference.
Yeah, Glasgow were a little bit slow to go warm up. So if you haven't joined us earlier today, the stream is going to be a bit short today. We had very bad weather in the morning. Luckily, it's all cleared up, and the fields have done a great job of draining the water. So games are now 55 minutes instead of 75, just to catch up with the schedule. So it is not in Glasgow's interest to go down so quickly, but hopefully this will be a better offensive point for them. So a leading throw out to Campbell. There's just so much defensive pressure there from Williams. So quick. Just first pass turnover.
She gets there ahead of the cutter, doesn't she? Runs a pattern for her.
Bit of a low throw from SMOG, but collected easily. Grossman not even got a mark, and totally free of the end zone is Morrison. And SMOG are absolutely pumped.
They're in danger of running away with this one now. They've got 2 turnovers right outside the end zone, and they've really done a good job of being clinical and converting those chances. Heather Williams with a pretty dominant block. Good swinging, and we come over. There we go. The swing comes to Ollie Gray, pops it over to Ava Grossman, and when he gets it back, he's got Gigi Morrison in acres of space. Hopefully Glasgow can step this up, because we watched SMOG yesterday win 15-2 in their game against the
Hessische Air Circle.
the German team, and hopefully we can see Glasgow kind of make this more of a game. They've definitely got the individual ability to do it.
Oh, certainly. Glasgow, strong team, also went to Worlds last year, same as SMOG did. Believe did pretty well as well at Worlds, so they are not a team to just be dismissed so quickly, but this roster is a lot smaller than the SMOG roster. Glasgow having about 16 in comparison to a good 24 from SMOG.
Glasgow used to go into tournaments with short lines. They always do it. They haven't focused on mixed a great deal this year, with Albert and Scram, the men's and women's teams, respectively, now the main focus seemingly in Scotland. But they did go to the first mixed ranking event and the second mixed ranking event in Durham as well, I believe. But might be a practice issue as well, but we'll see.
Webb with the disc, so dangerous. Looking for Warnock. He's a little bit trapped on the line. A lot of the cuts have just been going down the sideline. Interesting pass would be the only way to describe that little push pass from Warnock. that disc has just sat in the air. Luckily, Campbell reading it slightly better than Mazen. And Hopper reaching out for a lovely little grab is Melancon Fournier. And Glasgow stop the bleeding momentarily to make it 4-2.
They do, but that was not without some dicey moments, was it? The Warnock being trapped on the sideline, that swing from Webb to Warnock. Mazen gets in prime position there and just goes up too early. Mazen is one of the best defenders on this SMOG roster and can jump very, very high, but he's a little optimistic there, marking his... Mazen is one of the coaches of the GB Under-24 mixed team, marking his charge, I suppose, in Andrew Warnock. But good catch in the end zone. Glasgow needed that. Let's see if they can keep that momentum going into a defensive possession. Looks as though some of the players that we saw yesterday and that long-time UK Ultimate observers will know as huge parts of this SMOG team, people like Tiff Anderson and Tom Bennett, are among the group that's not playing in this game.
So Glasgow coming now on defense. One of our first real opportunities to see what happens, and straight away there's a hug. Fraser McDonald just all by himself. And if it's going to be that easy, Sean, then this game might be over before 55 minutes is even done.
It might well be. It might well be. It's a really good play there. Fraser McDonald jogs in, and then as soon as he gets to where his mark is, they're about coming level, he just turns on the jets, and it is a really, really good throw. Right in stride, doesn't have to change direction or anything. Nice, easy catch in the end zone. Will Collier's put it out in front of him, and you're right. If SMOG can score that quickly and take advantage of the chances they've been given on D, as they have been doing, then this game could be over pretty quickly.
I think SMOG really understand the purpose of Swiss Straw and that every point counts, and if you can score them as quickly as possible, that's always going to work in your favour. We've seen some interesting tactic choices towards the end of games when people really desperately need to get some points on the board. The wind has dropped down a little bit in comparison to earlier today. There still is wind, do not get me wrong, but shouldn't have as much difficulty going with this upwind end zone as the pool just shy. Glasgow coming out in horizontal. There's a flood deep, leaving Pang open under. Disc swung to Hopper. She's thinking about the deep shot, doesn't go for it entirely. Fakes the hammer. Do love a spicy hammer on this stream. Warnock goes for the blade throw instead, but luckily somebody was paying attention. And that's an easy goal for Shaw Webb, but there's a call, a pick call.
Yeah, it's Pang looks as though he doesn't quite see that the disc has gone up, and I think he might be trying to clear back into the middle of the field, and he just gets in Glasspool's way. You can see here, just gets in Glasspool's way. It's the question, I suppose, is whether Glasspool would have had a bid on that disc. Harry Glasspool's closing speed is really top tier, so I wouldn't want to say either way. He clearly feels he had a bid on it, so the disc goes back. Harry Glasspool, former Glasgow player prior to SMOG being established. Having a chat with Webb, goes back to Warnock.
Disc has been checked back in. Well, that's a high disc, and Bella Tate is under it. Just these throws popping up from Glasgow. Just needs a little bit more touch, and as I say that, Tom Lees rips a lefty backhand deep. It is floating. Tidswell under it, but Warnock getting great position in between Tidswell and Mazen. There's just nothing you can do about that.
There isn't. I think the throw was for Mazen. It's just trailing the entire way towards the far sideline. Mazen's had to try and make up a lot of ground, but Warnock's done a great job of putting himself between the disc and the intended receiver and knocks it away. I'm sure Mazen will be hearing about that at the next GB Mixed Under-24 training. It's a great block.
So Glasgow Not afraid to go for these deep shots. Oh, Tiswell really close, but just jumps a few seconds too early. Oh, that's just bobbled over the shoulder of Webb. Tate's asking for calm on the field.
We don't want calm. We want more shots.
We want more drama here, ladies and gentlemen. And a pit call. Stopping the play. But discussion saying that there was no chance he was going to get there. He's got Lamb deep if he wants it. Fakes her off. Mazen with the big fake, but then he goes for it on the second turn. It's going to the left, and great positioning again from Andrew Warnock, being such a defensive monster in that end zone.
He spotted that coming from a mile off, coming from the weak side. Just gets position on Glasspool, gets there first, gets it higher, knocks it away. It's been a very strong point for Andrew Warnock. 2 great blocks deep and 1 great catch of his own. What are the odds we see him go deep again?
Pang running under with his arms wide open, saying I'm free, but looked off. A nice swing pass into momentum. He's in power position, but calls for the under. Warnock with the disc. He's having such a great point with the fake. Oh, and a big bid there from Webb, but it's just a little bit too far out in front.
Yep, I think it's commentator's curse, isn't it? Warnock having a great point, but that swing's just a bit too far away from Sean Webb. Nice bid to try and get there, though.
It's a bit more subdued going to the disc now. Very slow setup. Lees is really wanting that hook, but decides against it. Mazen also a fantastic throw, but complete miscommunication. Glasgow hunting it. Warnock's totally free, but chooses also a totally free hopper. And I don't really know what happened. I think a hand block just smacked to the floor by Alex Mazen. He wasn't having anything of it, and Tom Lees calls a timeout for SMOG just outside the end zone.
Alex Mazen, the hand block with style, spikes it and just walks off. It's been a very, very frantic point, hasn't it, Sarah? Both teams have been taking some options that are perhaps ill-advised would be the best, the most charitable way of describing it, but you can see here Mazen reaches over and just swats it away. Sees it coming the whole way.
Just so casual, just so nonchalant. Here we see a close-up.
He's a gangly man, but he does things with style. So SMOG will be drawing up a play here. Tom Lees picking up the disc. What do you want to see if you're Tom Lees?
Well, as a left-handed player myself, I am going to guess that he's going to throw an inside backhand to the left-hand side of the pitch. I would even be willing to bet money on it. Now he's going to prove me wrong in player's curse.
Tempting bet. It's a tempting bet, Sarah.
Very tempting bet. I would also say if he was closest to the end zone, a high release backhand also never goes amiss. However, just with the wind, I feel like that would pick up.
The SMOG stack is setting up quite far away, so if they are calling for a particular cutter here, okay, they've moved it forward a little. Looks as though Bella Tate is the person in the most space at the front of the stack. But I agree. I think the high percentage option here for Tom Lees to throw over his ability. That inside backhand is the kind of channel you want to be throwing into, and lefties obviously have a slightly easier job throwing into that channel with the backhand and the flick for a righty. Having
said that, the way that Tate's defender is set up doesn't work in that fashion. Maybe he'll do it when he gets closer to the end zone. So takes the open option instead of Lim. Glasspool, big fit. Oh, that's a little bit behind, but luckily Lees has read the play well. Burst of power from Jenny Lamb, but isn't spotted. Mazen with hands in the air, like, don't throw it to me, don't throw it to me. The play swings from side to side from Mazen. Oh, bit of a barge there from Pang. Not surprised with this foul call.
Glasgow done a great job keeping SMOG out of the end zone here. You can see Mazin was just kind of hanging around at the front of that stack area, keeping Warnock away from the play because he has snuffed out most of what SMOG have been trying to do for the last few possessions.
So it's violation. So Glasspool set off a little bit too early just before the disc was checked in. For Warnock had got a piece on there that actually goes for the inside flick. Great shot, Harry Tidswell. Still an inside throw. Was expecting the backhand on the left-hand side of the pitch, but that doesn't also go miss.
You'd owe me money if I'd taken that bet. Darn. Really good throw, though, from Tom Lees. As you say, right out in front of Harry Tidswell. It's a little more difficult catch because of the wind. Makes that disc potentially bobble at the last minute, but good play from SMOG around the end zone. Very patient, despite Glasgow's excellent contained defense. And across the field, catch in space, and they have taken a 4-point lead here, 6-2 up.
I also really have to commend Lee's throw there. That is really hard throw. Really tricky just to aim it straight into the right corner. But with someone of Lee's experience.
Looks like he always puts some outside in, doesn't he? He rolls it slightly to get it over there. It's a nice catch by Tidswell. Spin would have been going away from him.
So here we have Glasgow coming back out on offense, hoping for a bit of a smoother time. They're going into the upwind end zone, but the wind has dropped, so it shouldn't be too much of a problem. So Glasgow pinned a little bit into the end zone. Oh, an inside throw that's just completely misthrown, and SMOG have it 5 meters outside their own end zone. Oh, arching throw, and who else? They just love hitting Higginbotham. So good in the air.
It was a really good job by Phil Webb at the front of the end zone to disrupt the isolation on Gray. But whoever was marking Higginbotham, it looked like it was on the break side. He's come underneath, acres of space, and with a thrower as good as Will Collier, he's going to put that out there. Bailed out a little by the fact that Higginbotham is very tall and able to go up and get it, but pretty easy point in the end. And it looks as though if we're not at half, I think half is still at 8, despite the fact that the shorter games. So half is at 7 with the shorter games. So we are at half-time. SMOG have taken it 7-2. So what is Sarah, what are Glasgow going to be talking about here, do you think? It looks as though they're not playing badly. They're just making some mistakes here and there, but they're struggling to contain SMOG's offense. How do you remedy that, do you think?
I feel like most of this is coming from jitters. I don't know whether they're put off by the fact they're on a stream, or whether the wind is a bit more unpredictable than other pitches they've been on, but they're getting in their heads a bit too quickly. We saw one of the points where it did take quite a while for either team to score, but the defense was really intense. They have to keep going with that intensity. The moment that they let their heads drop, it's just going to be game over. SMOG are not a team to let another team get back into the game so quickly. No,
we saw them yesterday crush Hässlich. They're able to keep their mentality, keep their intensity, and maintain that level across the whole game. So they're going to be coming out knowing that they need to keep scoring, because though they are in 7th, they're going to give themselves a much better position for the quarterfinals, which come in the next round of games, I believe, if they can keep ploughing ahead against Glasgow here. Glasgow coming out on D in this second half with SMOG calling women.
I haven't seen that many people on the stream calling for women. It's also nice to just see that a bit more frequently. I actually think both of these teams have a lot of trust in their women, which is always nice just to see both teams calling for women occasionally.
Yeah, both teams very strong female players. You don't get to the top of the game in UK and in Europe, both of these teams, without very talented players.
So big pull got up and collected there by Lim. Mazen isolated under. Wide open cut from Greer. I think they wanted to pop it off to Lees to try and go for the hook, but it didn't happen. Strong mark here from Rona Gordon. Really shutting down the options. Cuts are a little bit more static, a little bit slower, but once again, that inside backhand we talk about. Oh, an arcing blade, and oh, just over the head of Phil Webb. When you've got somebody like Alex Mazen in your end zone, doesn't matter what you throw, he's going to come down with it.
Yeah, slightly sketchy throw. The execution wasn't quite there, but the decision, considering, as you say, a person like Mazen can go up and get that if needed. Choosing your receiver like that, never a bad option, really. And SMOG pull further ahead. It was really nice offense in terms of patience. They moved it around the back a few times. They did get a little stuck on this near sideline, but once they worked it over there, once Lees had found the receiver, it was a pretty quick one until they got to that score and that kick spike from Mazen. How do we feel about spikes, Sarah? Policy on spikes?
I don't think I have a real bad policy on spikes. I think if you spike it at somebody, of course, don't do that. You look like a jerk.
Fair.
I also think it can really depend. I really feel like sometimes they're just not necessary in the sense of, oh, I'm up 14-0 and I'm going to go and spike the disc. That is a little bit like, okay, cool.
See what you mean.
We don't need that. But do love a good spike every now and again. So Glasgow trying again to find another point on the scoreboard. Pang, open, but oh, just arms wide open, but then can't get them around the disc. This is just a little bit of a aura of this game so far for Glasgow.
Yeah, he's upset with himself there, isn't he? You can see he has a little punch at the air in disappointment.
Very, very casual throw from McDonald, but he has been, well, not McDonald, but the Glasgow player completely boxed out. Nice little hip bump there from SMOG, and just running away with this now.
They are. McDonald, another former Glasgow player on this SMOG team. He's come under and got a nice break from Ollie Gray and just tossed it up onto the break side, and Stephen goes and fetches it. You can see here, he's got a lot of space to aim into there. Just tosses it up over the top.
At the beginning, I thought it was a little bit floaty, but positioning of Ollie Webb was much better. And that's one thing that SMOG can always rely on. Their boys especially are so strong in the air. Sometimes you see tall players, people like Mazen, Higginbotham, on other teams, and they don't get the same elevation as maybe somebody of our height. But these guys, they say tall people can't jump, but that's just not true.
You're right, small people cannot jump either. I am living proof. Another good pull from SMOG. Pulling's been very strong in this game.
Nice toe off the line, Phil Webb finding Gordon. Stalwart cutter in the Scottish scene for years. Not really a huge amount of options if that dumper got up the line, no third dump available. Hopper thinking about the long shot to Gordon, played together for several years but decides not to go for it. Oh, just that throw. Went for it with one hand and just bobbled out.
Yeah, slightly behind her. Reaching out, trying to get it, and it's just bounced off the fingers and hit the deck. There's been a few too many of those instances for Glasgow in this game. And that's the difference really between these two teams.
Deep switching from Glasgow. to stop that. Alex Greer is going for it. Lim, nice arcing throw, really well placed, but that throw is just done too nonchalantly. And it's a really nice D there from Harriet Hopper.
Yeah, Greer's gone deep. It's a really nice throw to find him, but that's a lack of concentration, isn't it? It's one of those times where you think you've already done all the work. If he just puts that out nice and flat in front of his receiver, that's an easy score, but tails away from her, might not matter in the end.
Complete miscommunication from Glasgow, essentially throws it to Lees, and then Greer makes up for that errant throw. And there's just no answer at this point from Glasgow.
No, there isn't. Greer there, how do you make up for the fact that you threw it away, get to a position where you don't need to throw it anymore? He's caught the score, ended the point, don't have to worry about it again. But you're right, Glasgow at the moment are just struggling to find any answers. And this is just a straight miscommunication. Sean looking for Phil. Phil's faked the under and gone long again, but by the time he's turned around, Sean's already started throwing it. And it's an easy score for SMOG on the other side of the disc. Talking about the Webbs, referring to them as Sean, Phil, and Kirsty. I think if we started talking about Webb to Webb to Webb to Webb, it might be quite difficult to keep track. But using everyone else's surname, but talking about the Webbs in forenames mainly. What's the most number of people from one family you've ever seen on a team, Sarah?
That's a really good question. I do feel like the Webbs are up there with 3. I would definitely have to think about it. Obviously, you see a lot of brother-sister combinations or just sibling combinations.
Yeah, in mixed, you see a lot of husband-wives, particularly with the teams that have been around a bit longer, with the more tenured players, the more seasoned players. Not gonna say old.
Not in relation to last names, but I was speaking to the captain of the Czech women's team, and they have 5 Annas on their team.
Popular name in the Czech Republic.
That must be quite irritating.
I did see a team at World Beach that had 4 people, I think. Was it 3? It was 3 or 4 with the same name, and it was, I think it was a father and his daughter and son, something like that. So, pretty cool.
All the family connections on the field. Warnock essentially throws it back to his old teammate, McDonald, and McDonald just goes to that arcing blade and just knocking on the door, and there's no one home.
Yeah, it's a nice easy point again for SMOG. They got a turnover, as you say. Fraser McDonald jumping that pass from Andrew Warnock. It's really, really difficult to throw it flat across the field, particularly through that IO channel. You need to have loads of space, and it needs to be aimed perfectly, and he's just left far too much of an opportunity for McDonald to take it in. Quick shot to the end zone, and it looks like it's Steedman pulling it down. Not too much pressure in the end there, really, was there?
I have to give it to SMOG. In this game, we saw it in the Hester Air Ferkel game. Their intensity on D is really high, but also their effectiveness on offense after the turn is perfect. And if they're going to be able to carry this into the top 8, they have a really, really good shot of making semis.
They do. It's crucial when you get those turns to be able to execute and convert them, because against really, really good teams, you don't get that many opportunities. We've seen SMOG in this game, we've seen SMOG in previous games. Their execution rate on D has been absolutely outstanding.
So it's call 4 women on the 9. Not sure which team called that, but do love it in our mixed division. Quite a low pull. I was a bit worried whether he's going to catch that, but safe hands from Webb. Going deep now, but Tiswell has him well covered. Comes under instead. He's thinking about hitting Hopper, but there's about 3 girls going deep at the same time. Slob going under this, a nice little hook. Oh, just covers over the hand of Jenny Lamb. That's a really nice female-female connection. Do love to see a lot of this on the stream, and it's a great shot again from Slob to make it 11-3.
Yeah, for somebody who said she hasn't been playing for that long, that is a really good throw. It's a good third of the field there. Throws it right to a receiver, over the defender. Perfect touch. And a rare, at this stage, Glasgow point. She's been involved in 2 of them now. That layout catch in the back corner and a cracking throw to her female teammate in the end zone.
Yeah, I was going to say, get Slob on the pitch more. She's done a lot for this team so far. Yeah, just sails over the hand of Jenny Lamb, so very close.
There's a great throw. Take a bow, Slob.
So just looking at my clock, we have still around 15 minutes to go, a little bit more than that.
This game has been going along at quite a pace.
Blinked and you would have missed it.
Warnock with the Glasgow pull, a bit shorter than the previous ones. And Collier's tapped it, and it's rolled out from the looks of it.
It's going to be one of our first opportunities to see SMOG on offense, and that's a great box out from Rona Gordon. Saw it coming a mile off, peeled off from her defender, and got the block deep.
Yeah, it looks like she just interrupts the route, doesn't it? Just gets there, puts her under some pressure, can't quite reel it in. SMOG player still got a hand on it, but it's really good pressure from Rona Gordon.
So first turnover we've really seen from the SMOG O-line gives Glasgow the opportunity of a break. Gordon faked off, and there's a call, foul call.
Yeah, it looks as though Ollie Gordon's tried to jump the route, come in with his receiver. You can see he motions to come into that kind of space that the Glasgow player is trying to cut into, and Doug Walker calls the foul. Not happy with the perceived initiation of the contact.
Seeing a lot more new faces on the Glasgow line this line. Not sure if they've gone strictly offense-defense line. I think that'd be a bit unfair on the D-line in this game, but has new faces on the pitch, fresh legs. Something that you need sometimes in these tighter games.
Definitely.
Yeah, a bit of a shove there. You see it on the replay.
Yeah, I think Gray's, you know, he's within his rights to try and make things difficult, but it doesn't look like he's coming to the space intentionally there.
So Jochen, hands wide open, I'm free, goes for the flick hook. There's 2 girls in coverage, and the Glasgow player can already see that Ava Grossman has beaten her to it, so there's no point in going for that disc. Great read from Ava.
Yeah, there aren't going to be too many female players that are going to beat Ava Grossman in a straight heads-up battle going deep. She's a very, very talented deep player.
Morrison looking to swing the disc, but doesn't really have an option. Is a deep cut going. Shake off the head from SMOG. Oh, Williams just throws it straight to Warnock. Not really sure what's going on, and Warnock gestures to his team that they should maybe go to the other end zone if they want that point. Gordon on the sidelines signaling to Warnock that she wants him to do something. Very cluttered at the moment from Glasgow. Oh no, that's not going to get picked up by Doug Walker. That was a really hard task for him.
Yeah, Warnock has been really good. Drops off his mark there to snag the poach block, but just a bit low for his receiver.
Oh, near poach block again from Warnock, having a great game. Flat force, trying to stop the big swing, big hucks from SMOG. Nice toe from Morrison, but Ava's going to go for it anyway. Grossman with the lovely connection to, I believe it's David Steeman. What a throw from Ava after getting the block, getting lots of hugs from her teammates.
It's a really good throw. A lot of touch right into the receiver's pocket. 3 Glasgow players all converging on him in the end zone, but it looks as though Ava Grossman has led Collier perfectly into that spot.
Oh, Collier, sorry, my apologies.
Just away from the 3 defenders. Really, really good point. You can see Warnock kicking the ground. He's got a block, done half the job, but I think that's been the story of Glasgow's game. They've been doing some things right. They've been working the disc up pretty well for half the field, 3-4 passes. They've been able to get some blocks. They just haven't been able to convert. They haven't been able to be clinical under intense SMOG pressure, but also, it must be said, under some of their own mistakes.
So not sure if you know the answer to this question, but do you know, we've talked about SMOG earlier having a bit of a line rotation to sit some people in games. Do you know if that's still going to happen when they go into bracket play?
We haven't talked to them and asked about whether this is going to be happening in the more important games, but you would anticipate if they've come here with the plan of having people sit out, they must have discussed this. Certainly, when they get to these important games, they have excellent players that have not played in some games. Every one of those pods, every one of those lines has players that would be among the top players in the UK in the mixed division. So we don't know for sure, but it wouldn't surprise me, I have to say, the way they've been structuring their tournament so far.
So Glasgow working down this right sideline, a little bit trapped, but now managing to swing it to Webb. Yang once again with his arms wide open. Oh, and for some reason, not really sure why, but Sean Webb just stopped cutting. I think he thought there was somebody behind him, but there wasn't.
Yeah, the throw from Harper was quite wide. Webb would have had to really sprint to try and get that, but he must have thought that was for somebody else.
So Tate going up line, getting into power position. Mazen is completely free, but she doesn't feel quite comfortable with that throw. Glasspool. Oh, looking for Lamb, but that throw just goes to the grounds.
Unusual to see Harry Glasspool make errors like that. It's just a simple throwaway.
Pang cutting again, travel called, dragging his foot around in a bend. Pang doesn't really see anything he's got, but Webb does manage to get free on the final cuts. Campbell just outside the end zone, and is a great D from Natasha Lim. Anticipated that throw.
Great snag in the end zone.
That throw starts to go to ground for Tate. She has a wide open Jenny Lamb. Leaves with the inside backhand. Quick dishy to Tidswell, and he's gone, and Harry Glasspool sends it. He's got two people chasing. Oh, what a grab from Tidswell, just attacks it at the prime moment. Oh, bit of a collision downfield, but there's no stoppage. Tate finding Mazen just shy of the end zone. Oh, bumps it over the head of Campbell, so unfortunate. And bookends for Natasha Lim.
Ah, yes. That was a great D, and Mazen there slightly casual in popping it over the head of Campbell, but really good offense from SMOG. Several times we saw them get into what could be considered a power position, and they turned it down. Discretion, the better part of valor, looking instead for the higher value shot.
So I believe because the games are shorter and the half was at 7, the games are to 13. Not entirely sure, but as far as SMOG are concerned, it's game over.
There looks to be some discussion. I was under the impression that we were still looking at games to 15. So there is still 10 minutes left in this game slot.
Vontier's not sure either, although I'm not really sure then why the half would be called at 7 if you're still going to 15.
I think they've called the half earlier because we have seen a number of games that have not got to particularly high scores. So I don't know whether that was a decision made because you're more likely to reach the half at 7 in a 55-minute game, and obviously the half, you know, given who comes out on offense and defense, does have a pretty important strategic role to play when you're doing the toss with the opposition team.
Oh, so they've decided to play on. The German women's team already decided to shotgun the end zone for their warm-up, so it looks like they're getting kicked off again.
Have to stop that end zone drill, aren't they? It does look good though. They're swinging it nicely.
It's a beautiful work in the end zone, but
They now appear to be
like, get off.
There's a lot of defenders in the way now. Smiles all around. Doesn't look like anyone's too upset about it.
So I would like to ask you a question, Sean, that I've seen this happen several times, and there's a few people, particularly on both teams, that like to do this. Running with your arms wide open. How do you feel about that?
You've mentioned it several times. I can see it's something that you're not a fan of. I think it's one of those things, isn't it? If you can find a way to communicate with your teammates and let them know that you're open, then obviously that's going to have benefits for everybody. Communication between teammates is crucial. It's one of those things where it's personal preference, how you like to do it. I don't do it. I don't necessarily mind when people run with their arms open. I don't think it's because you are going to slow down slightly, but unless your player is a little bit behind you, it's not going to make a huge difference, I don't think. I have seen people running with their hands up in the air, particularly when they're going deep, when they think they're free. The thing that I'm not a huge fan of is clapping or any other noise. When someone's clapping and they're running towards me open, there's always that thought of maybe I'll ignore you. And we nearly saw an example there where there was some slowing down and Fraser McDonald took advantage, but I don't know, it's one of those personal preference things, and I'm not gonna castigate someone for doing it, let's put it that way.
Yeah, nearly had case in point there. And just a drop again from Glasgow. Yeah, nearly had case in point there. Pan was wide open with his arms wide open.
I'd ask you what your feelings are.
He had the time to slow down, and McDonald had the time to catch up. So Collier now with the disc, happy to swing it, take his time. The stack is a little bit non-existent, but there's a really nice throw from Higginbotham, and McDonald winds up. And just way better positioning there from SMOG. So yes, they want to play those 2 extra points, but they might be done within about 2 minutes.
Wouldn't surprise me. Another throw from Fraser McDonald, just spots his receiver. He's got a head of steam up, able to just get in front of Webb, got a good position, and Stevens able to catch it in the back of the end zone under pressure. Just very, very efficient from SMOG all around. A very professional performance, you might say.
Yeah, it's a bit of a shame, really. I feel like this doesn't really do Glasgow a huge amount of justice. Me and Sean coming from the UK, we are familiar with Glasgow. They have been a powerhouse in the mixed division in the UK for years. And this game has just been riddled with mistakes and miscommunication. And I feel like they'll be a bit disappointed with this game. Wouldn't surprise me if they mentioned that in the Spirit Circle. Having said that, SMOG really played fantastically in this game. So it's also really tough when you're just not having your best game and the other team are just clamping down on you so hard. Yeah,
it is. It's one of those things where you can only play the opponent in front of you. You can only play the best that you can play. You've got to ignore what the opposition are doing and try and reach your level. And SMOG have done a really good job of that.
Glasgow looking to get at least 1 more point on the board. Swiss draw, every point counts. Final round currently. It's a bit of a fake. Looks like Glasgow have their D-line out on the pitch. Nice up-line cut there from Martinovska. Leading pass for Gordon, just shy of the end zone. Calls to swing from the sideline are ignored, and there is a pick call. However, not sure if that's going to equal a turnover, which it does.
Yeah, you've got to catch those throws when it's a pick, and the throw too far away from Alan Jukin there for the catch, even with the pick.
So SMOG looking to finish this game in style, no doubt. Lee's such a powerful hooker. Doesn't really have any options at the moment. This is the tightest defense Glasgow have had all game. But free is Jenny Lamb. 2 cuts going deep, but they're already quite deep as it is. Bit of poaching going on from the girls. Cheeky inside backhand. Just poaching the lane to stop that hook. Greer looked like he wanted it, but no one's gone, and now he's gone, but I just feel like that was a little bit forced from Greer.
I think it was. It's a situation where he had 2 people kind of hanging out slightly deeper, but in the end, the execution always rolling away from the receiver, never really had a chance at it, and I think it maybe would have been a better decision for SMOG. They were making good yards, churning it up with the unders, just staying a bit more patient, not trying to end the game on 1 throw.
Oh, and a great block from Tidswell. Anticipated the play. I think Campbell slowed down ever so slightly. You just can't afford to do that in a game like this.
Yeah, just gets in front, doesn't he? It's a great block.
Super quick. Seen so many blocks from Tidswell on the combined streams that we've had. Ooh, that did not look good for Lim. Just clutching her knee. Hopefully she's okay. So, play is stopped. It's not moving, it's not looking good.
Yeah, it's a tough one when you see someone go down with no impact, but hopefully she'll be fine. It's a shame, given how SMOG have played in this game, that that we get to this point where it could be an injury that means we end slightly earlier. She's had a really good game.
Yeah, she's had a great game. She's just such a steady player for SMOG. You hate it when somebody goes down and there's no one around and clutching the knee. Just keeping my fingers crossed that it isn't too bad.
So how do we think this sets SMOG up for the rest of the tournament, Sarah? As you say, they've now got a couple of very heavy wins. This is going to factor very well into the Swiss draw, considering Glasgow are only a few places below them and they've had a pretty dominant win. So surely this puts them in a really good position to try and get to semis.
I really think they have a good shot of making semis. I really also do think it depends on who they'll end up playing against. I also think that we were talking about the line rotations. I just think when you're going deeper into the tournament, that might not be as good of an idea. Maybe if you're going to rest your the slightly weaker players, but I just don't think SMOG really have weaker players. So Lim's being now carried off the pitch. Stood up, but not putting any weight on that leg, so hopefully she'll be okay. Lam with the disc, looking to fish off, and not really sure what she saw. Maybe a ghost?
I think she saw Lee's coming across. Looked like he had a bit of space in front of his mark, in front of Sean Webb, but he went back for the around. I think she threw that, expecting he would turn up on the other side, but he didn't.
Very tight defense of SMOG, and she has to pop it over the head. But Lees isn't getting there for that Callahan. Hammer fake. Oh, I think if Lees had turned around any quicker, he could have noticed that. Oh, and the paramedics walking on the field mid-point.
They're not Frisbee players. They don't fully get it.
The paramedics coming out for Lim, so I guess it's all fair. But the jingle is just going for the end of the game, so this will be the last point, but pretty convincing win regardless. Once again, just not really sure where Glasgow's head's at.
That was another situation where Rona Gordon has gone up the line. Sean Webb has spotted it, popped it up, and as he's popped it, she's turned to come back under.
So inside cut there from Lam is just a little bit overcooked on the throw. Webb looking to crank up a deep shot, but it's not coming. Oh, goes for a high release, but that's really, really well read by the SMOG defender. I feel like there's going to be a discussion of a foul. Do you feel like that disc popped over both of their heads?
It is high, but from the look of it there is contact on the back of the Glasgow player. I suppose it's a question of whether Smith would have been able to catch that in any case.
Yeah, now I see it on the replay. There was a bit of contact. I think it was Kim Marsh. So it is an uncontested foul. Right on the end zone line. Whoa, just sees Hopper, but there's a call. Maybe a violation or a pick or a foul. Could be anything at this rate.
Yeah, it's getting a little scrappy down there on the end zone line. Looks like someone's called a foul. There's a discussion between Rona Gordon and one of the SMOG players.
I think between Lam and Gordon. Ooh, big biting fakes from Hopper, but it isn't happening. Oh, and a nice little jink cut from Rona Gordon. Overbites on Jenny Lam's stop, and that is going to be game. Hooter went in that point, so 14-4 win for SMOG. That should be enough to see them into the quarterfinals. Any last remarks on this game, Sean?
Another very impressive performance from SMOG. SMOG are look to be in a good position to make real waves in the knockout stage of this tournament. I think Glasgow, as you said earlier, probably be slightly disappointed they weren't able to make more of a game of this. They do have a shorter line. They did, though, make some pretty basic errors, had some miscommunications. But overall, I think the takeaway here is that SMOG are a threat. Let's see how well they can do.
So thank you very much for watching. Thank you for tuning in. We will start going into quarterfinal play. Please stay tuned for the next game, which looks to be Mermaid Lumberjacks versus Heist. It's going to be a doozy. I've been Sarah Sparks, joined by Sean Colfer. Thank you very much for watching.
Thanks.